Good morning, everyone. We'll be starting at 11 a.m. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. We'll be starting at 11 a.m. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on 5 common mistakes to avoid when creating a permit set. Feel free to raise your hands if you have any questions, and we'll address them at the end of this presentation. So I am Riya Kulan, and I'm excited to share the insights that can streamline your permit set process and help you sidestep common setbacks. First, I would like to give you a quick introduction about Virtual Building Studio. So since 2015, we have been partnered with over 300 architecture firms in US. We are helping clients in the state like California, Texas, New York, New Jersey, and Florida. To improve their productivity and efficiency, our team of 90 licensed architects has completed more than 2,000 projects across residential, commercial, and multifamily developments. So delivering high quality permit set, SD, DD, and CD sets with the Revit and AutoCAD expertise. I would like to begin by introducing today's speaker. First, it's me, Riya Gulhan, a licensed architect with eight years of experience. Currently, I'm working as an assistant manager here at VBS. So joining me today, my co-speaker, Rory Gabriel, a licensed architect and customer success manager at VBS with over 25 years of experience across diverse project types. So together, we'll be guiding you through today's session. So now Rory will take it from here. Rory, over to you.
Andrea. Hi, everyone, and thanks for being here. So today we're going to talk about something that honestly doesn't get the attention it deserves, permit sets, right? Not exactly the most thrilling topic, but here's the thing. Permit sets are critical to whether our projects succeed or get bogged down in delays and extra costs. They're much more than just a checklist for inspectors. They're the roadmap that can make or break a project. When permit sets are done well, they pave the way for smoother, faster, and more cost-effective projects. So let's dive in and talk about why they're so important and how they impact things like timelines, budgets, and even legal issues. All right, let's start with what a permit set actually is. In the simplest terms, this is the package of documents we submit to get our construction permits. We're talking about civil site plans, architectural drawings, structural details, fire protection, mechanical plumbing, and electrical schematics. But here's the thing, a permit set isn't just technical paperwork, it's what carries a project from concept to completion. These sets lay out every detail so there are no surprises. It's all there in black and white. You've got material specs, structural plans, electrical layouts. When it's well prepared, they proactively address questions and issues, so teams on site aren't left scrambling for answers. It makes sure that everyone, from the architects to the contractors to the inspectors, they're on the same page right from the start. All right, so that's the what of a permit set. Now let's talk about why this is such a big deal for a project efficiency. If your permit set is solid, everything runs more smoothly and projects stay on track from the start. Why? Because a good set helps us get through approvals faster and with way less hassle. So picture this, you've got projects waiting for permits in cities or counties that are totally swamped. With all the growth and backlog that's been going on, some places are struggling to keep up. Some states have passed laws to speed things up. Arizona, for instance, now requires zoning applications to be deemed complete or incomplete within 30 days. California had similar processes for a while. In states like Hawaii, Montana, and Tennessee also streamline approvals. But here's where our role comes in. If the permit set we submit is complete, it cuts down on all those little requests for revisions or extra information. Those requests eat up time. A set that's clear, complete, and anticipate what's needed moves through the process faster with fewer roadblocks. There was an audit in California, and they found that the biggest reason permits get delayed is because of post-submission changes. Every time the planners have to request additional information or we have to tweak something after submission, that adds an average of 20 to 30 days to the process. Imagine that, a month, just because of back and forth that could have been avoided. By getting it right from the start, we're not just saving time, we're setting ourselves up for success. Fewer revision cycles means smoother approvals and faster starts. Now, let's talk about what happens after the permit is approved. A strong permit set doesn't just help with planning, it's essential during construction too. Here's the reality. According to the 2023 Global Construction Survey, only half of all construction projects finish on time. Half. When a permit set is thorough, it gives every team clear directions. There's no ambiguity. That kind of clarity keeps everyone on the same page. And it keeps the project moving forward without unnecessary hiccups. Miscommunication causes delays, and that's how projects get derailed. A good set minimizes these risks and keeps things running as planned. All right, so let's talk about delays because they happen. Some of them are out of our control, but the impact is still real. For instance, weather is a major factor. Research from the Air Force Institute of Technology shows that 45% of projects face delays due to weather. We're talking about rain, snow, hurricanes, extreme heat, things we can't do much about. Then you've got issues like unforeseen conditions. According to the Journal of Construction, Engineering, and Management, around 20 to 25% of projects face delays due to surprises on the site. Maybe there's unsuitable soil or an unexpected rock formation. These are things we only find out once we start digging. But here's the part where we actually can make a difference. Design changes. Delays from design changes happen in 35 to 40% of projects. That's huge. And often these changes happen because the design wasn't completely locked in the first place. A well-prepared permit set can help by locking in the design early on. reducing the chances of costly reworks and delays that come with them. Now let's talk about costs. A well-prepared permit set doesn't just save time, it also saves money. Because as we all know, in construction, time is money. And here's how that breaks down. According to the National Society of Professional Engineers, design errors alone account for about 2 to 3% of projects' total cost. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but on a large-scale project, those few percentage points can mean a lot of money. And when we're talking about delays, they lead to a whole lot of extra expenses. In Washington State, for example, an average permit delay of about 6.5 months creates holding costs. Things like financing, property taxes, insurance, things that the owner or developer pay monthly. They result in over $31,000 of extra costs. All that just because the project couldn't get started on time. Then, when a set isn't complete or it's unclear, contractors tend to inflate the bids. Why? Because they're pricing in the what-ifs. A study published in the American Society of Civil Engineers found that contractors included an average risk of allowance of 2% in their bids. And finally, let's talk about the legal side of things. A permit set isn't just a guide, it's a legally binding document. It's part of the construction contract, and that gives it a lot of weight. In the event of a dispute, the permit set serves as the main point of reference. It's like having a set of rules everyone agreed on. So if there's a disagreement about whether something was done correctly, we can refer to what's in the set. For example, a survey of construction professionals found that construction administration, including interpreting construction drawings, is actually the leading cause of disputes on projects. Next, if someone claims the work doesn't meet requirements, the permit set is our defense. It shows exactly what was expected, clarifying project scope, expectations, and responsibilities, which can protect us legally. And finally, it acts as a record. When future repairs or renovations are needed, the set provides a clear record of the original design intent. So, a well-prepared permit set affects every part of a project, from getting approvals to managing costs, timelines, and even legal protections. As architects, we're responsible for these, and by prioritizing strong, thorough sets, we're setting ourselves up for smoother projects, satisfied clients, and ultimately a stronger, more efficient industry. Now, I'd like to turn it over to Ria to start our next section.
Thank you, Rory. So out of the 5 common mistakes, I'll go over the first 2. So, all right, let's talk about permit clarity. So as architects, we know that a clear, well-organized permit set is crucial, not only just for getting approvals quickly, but also for ensuring smooth construction down the road. But even with years of experience, there are some common mistakes that can slip through the cracks and make a permit set harder to understand that needs to be done. So let's take a look at the common mistakes that can undermine the permit set and how can you avoid them. So the first mistake is lack of clarity. So I'll start with inconsistent formatting. So now this might seem a small thing, but our inconsistent formatting can create confusion for anyone reviewing those documents. So whether it is AHJ or a contractor on site, when different sections of your drawings or documents use verifying fonts or line weights or labeling conventions, it forces the reader to stop and figure out what they are looking at. And that's not what we want. So consistency in formatting helps create a visual flow so readers can focus on the content rather than deciphering how it's presented. So simple things like using same font for labels or consistent line weights across all drawings can make a big difference in how smoothly drawings are reviewed. So next is inaccurate scale and dimensioning. And this one can cause serious problems if it goes unnoticed. So as you know, accuracy in scale and dimension is critical because contractors rely on these details to build what's being designed. So for example, there are new technologies like Ready Frame Wall System by BFS, which is pre-cut and assembled to exacting dimensions. So any deviation in the dimensions or a dim bust in the CDs could lead to misalignment or costly adjustments on site. So the best way to avoid the mistake is to double check all the dimensions and ensuring that every drawing is correctly scaled before submission. So it is also helpful to include a graphic scale bar on each drawing so the reviewers can easily verify that everything is accurate. So now let's talk about poor organization. A well-organized permit set should tell a clear story from start to finish, but drawings are out of order or information is scattered across the multiple sheets without any flow. So it becomes difficult for the viewers and later the contractors to follow along. So there are industry standards like the US National CAD standard that gives us the guidance on sheet order. So we have these general hazardous materials, civil sheets, landscape, architectural and structural sets. And then within each specialty, we have the plans, elevation sections, the large scale views, the details, the schedules, and the diagrams, also the 3D. So now let's talk about quality control. So no matter how well designed your project is, if your permit set isn't thoroughly reviewed or checked for quality, you're setting yourself for delays, you're setting yourself for cost overruns and for potential rework for sure. So walking through common mistakes, we have incomplete documentation, where when documentation is incomplete, it creates confusion for everyone involved, whether it's the AHJ or the contractors. So missing details can lead to RFIs, which adds time to the approval process and which can also delay your construction process. So double checking the plans so that nothing gets left out is really important. Next, we have the inadequate coordination between the teams. So what happens is, especially in the larger projects, multiple teams are working simultaneously. So architects, engineers, consultants, everyone is working. And if they are not communicating effectively, well, then things start falling through the cracks. Maybe the structural engineer makes a change that doesn't get reflected in your architectural drawings and vice versa. So suddenly, you'll be having those conflicts information into your drawing. So strong communication and coordination between all the teams involved in the project is very necessary. So regular check-ins or using cloud-based data are important part of it. And finally, we have failure to review after changes. Even after plans have submitted, things can still change. So whether it's feedback from your reviewer or adjustment made during the construction, so that should be informed and that change should be reviewed by the other teams who are working on that project. So for example, adjusting one element in structural drawing might require updates in the related models, the architectural model or the MEP drawings. But if those updates aren't made consistently across all your documents, you're looking at potential conflicts and clashes for sure. So the key here is always reviewing your entire set or updating your virtual model and checking all the clashes after any changes are made. So even the small ones to ensure everything stays consistent and aligned across the disciplines. Now Rory will go over the next three mistakes. Rory, over to you.
Thanks, Ria. So next we have stakeholder management. Whether it's clients, contractors, the HJ, or even internal teams, managing stakeholders effectively can make or break a project. A well-structured stakeholder management process helps ensure that everyone involved is aligned, expectations are clear, and potential conflicts are minimized. So first step is identifying stakeholders. It might seem obvious, but it's crucial to take the time to really think about everyone who has a stake in the project. This includes not just your client, but also contractors, permitting authorities, inspectors, and even community groups if your project has a public-facing element. The goal here is to cast a wide net and make sure no one is left out. By identifying all relevant stakeholders early on, We can avoid surprises down the road when someone who was overlooked suddenly raises concerns or objections. Next is managing expectations, and this one is key. One of the biggest causes of conflict in any project is misaligned expectations. If stakeholders expect something different from what you're delivering, or if they're not kept in the loop about changes, it can lead to frustrations and delays. The best way to manage expectations is through clear and consistent communication from day one. Set realistic timelines, be transparent about potential risks or challenges, and make sure everyone understands what they can expect at each stage of the project. Finally, review and repeat. The management process isn't a one and done thing. It's something that needs to be revisited regularly throughout the course of a project. As things progress, new stakeholders may emerge or existing ones may shift their priorities or concerns. You should be making adjustments to your processes as needed to ensure that everyone stays aligned from start to finish. Next, we have local regulations. And one common mistake we run into is not reviewing local zoning laws and building codes early on in the design process. These regulations shape what we can build, where we can build it, and how it has to be built. Skipping over them or just assuming we know them can have consequences like redesigns, major delays, and sometimes even legal trouble. Next, not consulting with the local AHJ early in the project can risk overlooking critical regulatory requirements. By engaging with them during the planning phase, we can ensure that all legal constraints are accounted for before finalizing designs. And finally, a thorough site analysis is crucial for understanding the local context and regulatory landscape. If we rush this phase, we may miss important zoning restrictions, environmental protections, or community expectations that could affect compliance later in the project. All right, let's now talk about compliance with building codes and safety standards. So one common mistake could be occupancy, or really determining the correct classification of a space. Things like assigning classrooms to an educational use, or maybe they're part of a church, so it would be religious. Or if they're above the 12th grade, it's a B occupancy. Or maybe the occupant load of an assembly space, if it's in a restaurant, is less than 50, so we could use a B occupancy. These decisions will impact building heights, allowable areas, or maximum egress travel distances. Another issue, life safety, is incorrectly drawing the egress path. Sometimes using the most direct route, a straight line from A to B, instead of accounting for how a space could be filled with furniture or equipment, and how an occupant has to move around that. And finally, accessibility and ADA compliance. Failing to provide accurate door clearance or maneuvering space, or not specifying the 1 to 48 cross slopes on ramps, or thinking that all non-compliant older buildings are grandfathered in when it actually depends on the comparative cost of the alteration of the area that's being altered. Sorry. All right. So now let's talk about what happens when things don't go as planned. When permits get delayed, the consequences are far-reaching. It's not just about pushing back a start date. Delays can create a domino effect that impacts everything, from finances to reputations and even the overall success of a project. So let's break it down and dig into why these delays are such a big deal. Let's start with what's probably the most obvious concern: money. Delayed permits can lead to significant financial strain, and in construction, we all know that time is money. So, over the last century, industries like manufacturing have seen efficiency improvements of about 5.4% per year. But construction, well, we've pretty much stayed flat in terms of productivity gains. So that means when delays happen in the construction world, they'll hit harder because we haven't made those efficiency strides. Every delay just compounds the problem. When permits are delayed, it's not just a matter of waiting around for paperwork. The entire project timeline gets thrown off. And that can add weeks or even months to an already tight schedule. Next, labor is one of the biggest expenses on any project, right? So when things drag on longer than planned, labor costs start to balloon. Every extra day the workers are on site means more wages, so to pay out. And if subcontractors are kept waiting or need to be rescheduled because of delays, that can cost even more. Now, material prices are tricky because they're largely out of our control. Material prices have been all over the place lately. We've all seen how unpredictable things can get with inflation, supply chain disruptions, and even factors driving up prices. For example, during the pandemic, lumber prices skyrocketed from about $400 per thousand board feet up to $1,600. If your permits are delayed and you're forced to wait before ordering materials, you're exposing yourself to the risk of price hikes. And finally, equipment rentals are another sneaky expense that can pile up quickly during delays. Cranes, truck, earth movers, all that stuff costs money every day. It sits there unused because you're waiting on permits. And these aren't small costs either. Equipment rental expenses can account for 5 to 10% of your total project budget. Now, let's talk about something less tangible, but just as important, reputation. In our industry, reputation is everything. It takes years to build, but only 1 or 2 bad projects to lose it, and delayed permit sets can seriously hurt your track record in several ways. First, clients expect us to deliver on time. It's part of the deal when they hire us. When permit delays push back the project timeline, clients can start losing trust in us, and once trust is broken, it's really hard to get back. Think about it from their perspective. They've invested time and money into this project too, and if we're not delivering as promised because of permitting issues, they're going to be frustrated, and rightfully so. Next, and here's something many people don't think about, future business opportunities can be affected by today's delays. A lot of owners look at past performance when choosing an architect or contractor for their next project. In fact, most consider it one of the most important factors in their decision-making process. If we get a reputation for missing deadlines because of permit issues or anything else, future clients might start looking elsewhere, and that could cost us down the road. Finally, contractors are key partners in all of this, and they're more likely to work with us again if we keep things moving around smoothly. But if we're always running into delays, they might think twice about giving us favorable bids or prioritizing our projects over others. Remember, in construction, you're only good at your last project. So permit set delays, they just don't affect the start date. They can create ripples throughout the entire project timeline. So in our world, timing is everything, especially in regions where weather plays a big role in determining when work can happen. In northern climates, for example, missing an ideal spring start could mean postponing a project by months because you've missed the crucial window for outdoor work to begin before winter hits again. And missing those windows isn't just inconvenient, it forces us into working under less than ideal conditions later on, which brings its own set of challenges and costs. Next, subcontractors book their schedules way in advance, sometimes months or even years ahead. If your timeline shifts unexpectedly because of permit delays, you might lose access to those skilled workers altogether or have trouble getting them back when you need them later on down the line. And replacing skilled subcontractors isn't always easy or cheap, especially if they were booked for their expertise or availability during certain phases of construction. And finally, it's all like a chain reaction. One phase gets delayed, then everything else gets pushed back too. Foundation works gets delayed, then framing, then the interior work. A well-planned project is like a finely tuned machine. Everything has its place and time, but when one part gets thrown off track, the whole system falters, and recovering from those disruptions isn't easy. So next, project delays, they just don't mess with timelines, they mess with everything. Resources, finances, you name it. When projects get delayed unexpectedly during permitting issues, we often have no choice but to shift resources around, whether it's human resources like workers or material resources like equipment. This can create inefficiencies across multiple projects, not just one, which drags down productivity overall. And cash flow is king in construction. Delays mean delayed payments, and that affects everyone involved. From some contractors who need their invoices paid, to suppliers who need payment for materials delivered, to owners who need funding released from lenders based on milestones achieved. Missed deadlines can have a significant ripple effect, especially when it comes to future tenants. When a project runs behind schedule, it's not just the construction team that feels the impact. Tenants are often left in limbo too. They're unable to plan their move-in or begin operations. This could lead to frustration, financial losses, and even strained relationships with those tenants. For businesses, a delayed move-in means potential revenue loss. For residential tenants, it can disrupt personal schedules and living arrangements. In short, project delays don't just affect the construction timeline, they have real-world consequences for the people who are counting on moving into that space. So, as you can see, consequences of delayed permit sets go way beyond just being an inconvenience. They impact finances, relationships, timelines, and even legal standing sometimes. As architects and really as professionals, it's our job not only to understand these impacts, but also to do everything possible to ensure the submission of accurate sets to avoid unnecessary disruptions altogether. All right, so we've talked about the consequences of delayed permit sets and how they can wreak havoc on a project, but now let's flip the script and focus on solutions. Specifically, how some industry leaders have managed to overcome these challenges. We're going to look at 2 case studies that highlight the best practices for streamlining the permit set process. These examples will hopefully show a systematic approach can make a world of difference, not just in avoiding delays, but in improving overall project efficiency and outcomes. Let's start with Witten Architects. They're a firm that specializes in both residential and commercial projects out in Los Angeles. We began working with them back in 2021, and I'll tell you right now, the transformation they've experienced since then has been pretty remarkable. When we first teamed up with Witten Architects, they were facing some pretty common challenges in the industry, things like inconsistent workflows and quality control issues. You know how it goes when you're juggling multiple projects. It's easy for things to slip through the cracks. So here's what we did. We worked closely with their team to establish clear workflows and set quality benchmarks right from the start. This wasn't just about improving 1 or 2 projects. It was about creating a system that would work across all their projects. And here's where it gets interesting. Once we got those first few projects under our belt, things started running almost like clockwork. Witten Architects now has 3 of our dedicated licensed architects on their team, and they've managed over 75 projects with us. What's made this partnership so effective is the consistency we've built into the process. Even when there's staff turnover or team changes, there's no disruption to their workflow because we've established such a strong foundation. This level of stability has been invaluable for Witten Architects. They no longer have to worry about whether new team members will be able to pick up where others left off because we've created a system that ensures continuity and quality no matter what. And that kind of consistency, it saves them both time and money, 2 things that are always in short supply in this industry. So what's the key takeaway here? By investing upfront in creating solid workflows and retaining knowledge within the team, Witten Architects has been able to streamline their entire permit set process. They're not just avoiding delays, they're operating more efficiently across the board. Now, let's shift gears and talk about AECOM. They're a multinational engineering and consulting firm that faced some pretty significant challenges, particularly in their Singapore operations. Before they started working with us, AECOM was struggling on several fronts. First off, they were dealing with high resource costs, especially when it came to skilled labor. Singapore is a competitive market, and finding enough qualified professionals to meet demand was becoming increasingly difficult for them. On top of that, they had recently adopted BIM technology. Now, it's a fantastic tool for improving project outcomes, but it's one that requires specialized skills to use effectively. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough trained BIM people available to keep up with the project load, which meant deadlines were beginning to slip. So here's what we did. We provided AECOM with access to our remote, dedicated team of professionals who could work seamlessly alongside their existing staff. By tapping into our talent pool, they were able to fill those skill gaps without having to hire locally. That saved them a ton of money on labor costs. But it just wasn't about cutting costs. It was about increasing efficiency. Because our teams are spread across different time zones, AECOM was able to keep work moving around the clock. When their team in Singapore clocked out for the day, our team picked up where they left off. So there was never any downtime. And the results? AECOM saw substantial cost reductions almost immediately after implementing this solution. But more importantly, they gained the confidence to establish a global delivery center in India, a move that has given them a major competitive advantage in the market. By leveraging remote teams and aligning work across time zones, AECOM has been able to increase productivity while reducing costs. And that's allowed them to take on more projects without sacrificing quality or missing deadlines. So what can we learn from these two success stories? Well, both Wooden Architects and AECOM show us that by taking a systematic approach to streamlining operations and by leveraging external resources when necessary, you can achieve long-term efficiency gains that go far beyond just avoiding delays. All right. So we've talked about the challenges and consequences of delayed permit sets, but now it's time to focus on solutions. What we can do to avoid these pitfalls and make sure our projects run smoothly. The good news is that there are several best practices we can adopt that will help us create more effective permit sets, reduce delays, and ultimately deliver better results for our clients. To streamline the permit set process, we need a comprehensive approach, one that includes meticulous planning, effective communication, technology integration, quality control, and adherence to regulatory requirements. Let's break it down step by step. So let's talk about planning. We all know planning is essential, but when it comes to permit sets, it's absolutely critical. Getting a jump on thorough planning and design reviews up front can save us from a lot of issues later on. And nowhere is that more important than in the permitting process. One of the biggest delays in permitting, design errors. Small mistakes early on lead to rework, which not only drives up costs, but also drags out the entire timeline. And here's the kicker. Indirect costs from rework can end up being 6 times what it would have cost to fix the issue in the first place. And so the key here in design is investing in design resources from the start. By putting just a little more into design, we can cut down on errors, costs later on. And as it turns out, these savings often end up being greater than initial investment. It's a smart trade-off that prevents permitting setbacks and keeps projects on track. Next up is communication. Poor communication is one of the leading causes of delays in construction projects. We've all been there. Misunderstanding between architects, contractors, and subcontractors can lead to costly mistakes and missed deadlines. The key here is engaging all stakeholders early in the process: owners, architects, contractors, subcontractors, inspectors, you name it. When everyone is involved from the get-go, expectations are aligned, misunderstandings are minimized, and everyone knows their role in making sure the project runs smoothly. In fact, according to a report by McKinsey & Company, construction companies that employ effective collaboration techniques are 33% more likely to be finished on time and 15% more likely to stay within budget. Now let's talk about technology for a second. Cloud-based collaboration tools have become a real game changer for construction projects. Having a single source of truth, where all project data is centralized and accessible in real time, ensures that everyone is working from the same setup of up-to-date drawings. This eliminates confusion, reduces errors, and helps teams stay aligned throughout the project lifecycle. Diving deeper into how technology can help us streamline processes and reduce errors, there's building information modeling. Now, BIM isn't just about fancy 3D models. It's about improving coordination among all trades involved in a project. It allows real-time communication, clash detection, and project visualization for all parties. By using it during the design phase, we can catch potential issues before they become expensive problems on site. This means fewer changes during construction, which translates into fewer delays and lower costs. Now let's get into quality control, because to be honest, even with the best planning and communication up front, things can still go off track if we don't have strong quality assurance measures in place during construction. One of the best ways to maintain quality throughout a project: regular reviews and audits at every stage of the design and build process. This helps us catch potential issues early on so we can address them before they snowball into bigger problems and costly delays. And here's another key piece of quality control: investing in workforce training. When we have skilled workers on site, we see fewer mistakes, and naturally fewer mistakes mean fewer delays from rework later on. So these quality checks and skilled teams are really the foundation of keeping our projects on time and on track. Next is compliance with local regulations and building codes. This might seem obvious, but projects do get delayed because someone overlooked an important regulation during the design. Building codes are constantly evolving, and it's rare that there's uniformity across states or sometimes even municipalities. So it's essential to have a dedicated process in place for staying up to date. You can have a team member specifically tasked with monitoring updates to regulations in the project's jurisdiction. There's also websites that publish the most current building codes. Or for full confirmation, you can always reach out to the local AHJ during the design phase to clarify any ambiguities and prevent surprises later on in the process. Well, now that we've outlined the common challenges that slow down the permit set process, it's clear that overcoming these obstacles require a strategic and systematic approach. But here's the key insight: it's not about outsourcing, it's about building an extended team of experienced architects. Experienced architects that integrate seamlessly with your existing team, helping you overcome challenges while maintaining full control and alignment with your projects. These architects are not simply external contractors. They're an extension of your team, fully integrated into your workflows. They're yours, not just a vendor. They work in alignment with your firm's standards, time zones, and project needs, ensuring smooth communication, easy collaboration, and immediate response times. This level of integration means your in-house team can focus on their core responsibilities, such as client interactions, site visits, while the extended team handles the technical complexities of the permit set process. This approach allows your architects to focus on what they do best, without the distraction of administrative tasks that slow down the permit process. In essence, we are talking about a true partnership where dedicated architects become a part of your team, working as an extension of your in-house resources. This doesn't just reduce costs, it increases your team's efficiency by up to 4 times, enabling them to handle more projects and deadlines with greater ease and accuracy. Additionally, this approach provides a high level of flexibility. You only pay for the expertise you need when you need it, meaning you have a scalable solution that fits with the changing demands of your project. Whether you need additional architects for a few weeks or want to scale up for a major project, your extended team is there to ensure the success of every permit set. By choosing this extended architect team model, you gain 1, highly experienced architects with a deep understanding of Revit, AutoCAD, and US construction codes. 2, the seamless integration of your extended team with your in-house staff for smooth collaboration and fast, accurate execution. And finally, full control of your projects, with all stakeholders working under one roof, including architecture, MEP, and structural teams. Now that we've explained the benefits of this approach, we can delve deeper into how it directly addresses the common permit set challenges we discussed earlier. By bringing in a dedicated extended team, you can streamline communication, minimize errors, and get permit sets completed on time without the burden of delays and rework. Now I'd like to pass it back to Ria. Oh, Ria, you're muted.
Sorry. Thank you, Rory. So now that we have outlined the common challenges in creating a permit set, let's explore how a systematic approach can provide you unique solutions to avoid delays, save your time, and improve coordination across all teams. So our systematic approach, developed specifically for architecture firms, brings licensed architects into your project, ensuring that each aspect of the permit set process is handled with the utmost precision. So these experts works as an extension to your team. They are fully aligned with your firm's standards and time zone, which means seamless integration and rapid response time when you need them the most. So first, by assigning a dedicated architect to manage all the permit set requirements, you are equipping your team with specialized support that can handle every detail of data entry and documentation. So this level of focus helps eliminate any errors that typically arise from the overload that your internal resource will have. So this will reduce the time needed for rework. Secondly, what you can do is this approach enables increased efficiency and flexibility. With access to the team that's fully aligned with your time zone, your communication becomes smoother, your collaboration is effortless, and the deadlines are met without the typical hiccups. So many firms see up to fourfold increase in efficiency as dedicated architects can take on specific tasks, which allows the in-house team to focus on the critical areas. So third is cost effectiveness. So cost effectiveness is a key advantage by of this model by bringing the specialized expertise only as needed. So you gain the flexibility to scale your resources up or down based on your project demands. So this approach not only maximizes savings, but it also helps you maintaining high standards without stretching your budget. So some team have reported up to 4 times their typical costs by integrating dedicated architects who can handle their permit set efficiently. So ultimately, this tailored support provides high accurate, streamlined permit sets, optimized timelines with fewer delays, and significant savings in both your time and cost. So by adopting this method, you'll truly transform the way your team approaches permit set, enabling you to deliver the project on time, maintaining the high quality of the project, and building a stronger relationship between the client and you. So before we move on, first we cover the importance of avoiding common mistakes in permit sets. So as we saw, even small errors in documentation can lead to significant delays and unanticipated costs, impacting overall project timelines and client satisfaction. Secondly, we have explored how adopting best practice like engaging dedicated architect support, aligning process with specific project needs, and ensuring accurate documentation can make a real difference. So these strategies help streamline your workflow, improve efficiency, and set project up to for success by minimizing delays and errors. So by implementing these structured approaches, your team can gain control over the permit completions, ultimately strengthening client relationship. Now, before we wrap up and move to our question answer round, we would like to share something really special with you that we have prepared exclusively for you, our webinar attendees. So since you have joined us today and invested your time in learning how to optimize the permit set process, we want to make it even easier for you to put these best practices into action. So this is a limited opportunity designed specifically for those who attended today. So stay tuned. Stay tuned as we walk through this exclusive offer of yours. So as a part of our exclusive Black Friday offer, we are thrilled to extend a special opportunity tailored just for you. Here's what's included. So there'll be a 20% off on dedicated architects with a minimum of 3 years of experience, bringing the cost down. Then you'll be having a flexible start date. So once you start booking, once you secure your booking, you have the flexibility to start whenever your project needs to align. You can use your dedicated architect at any time. The only requirement is once they begin, they are engaged for 3 months period. Then we have a 30-day money back guarantee. So we are confident in the quality of our architects and the value they bring to your projects. That's why we are facing a 30 days offer, no question asked refund if you are not fully satisfied. And along with this, we have an added bonus for those booking for 5 months engagement. We are offering 1 extra month of support completely free. So it will be a 6 months of dedicated architectural support where you will be paying for only 5 months. So as per this offer, we have a level 1 architect who previously priced at 3,000, but now after the offer, it'll be $2,400. And level 2 architect, originally priced $3,300, can now be hired at $2,650. So to recap, this exclusive offer, Black Friday offer for our webinar attendees, we have 20% off on 3 months booking with flexible start dates, 30 days money back guarantee for your peace of mind, and extra month free for a 5 months engagement program. So to lock in this offer, please reach out to our team right after this session. We'll be happy to share and start on maximizing your project outcomes with expert support. So I would like to thank all of you for being such an attentive audience. We are now going to open the floors for questions. Please feel free to ask anything related to what we have discussed today, whether it's about the common mistakes in creating permit sets or our dedicated architect services or our special Black Friday offer. So as you think about your questions, remember that we are here to help you streamline your permit process and enhance your project outcomes. So we are now open to answer your questions. Please feel free to raise your hands if you have any questions. Thank you.
Ria, I see one question in the Q&A. You see it? How many hours are they available to work per week? Oh, you're muted. Oh, I still don't hear you.
So we are available for 40 hours a week. Any other question you see?
Is it a flat rate for however long they are engaged?
Yes, it is. So it will depend on the contract and on how long you want the resource to be engaged in your project. It totally depends on you. So I have thank you for your presentation. What separates your extended team from others? So our team, when we provide you any resource, we do not give you a fresher or a new person. We give you an experienced architect who can work on your projects, who have a little bit understanding of the US standards, who knows Revit properly. So you'll be getting an experienced person and not just a person, you'll get an architect, a licensed architect. So where are the people located? They are all remote. So we have 2 branches in India, and these people are here only. And we have Rory with us as well. Where are the architects based? Can they be selected for your local area? So we are based in India. We have a branch in Ahmedabad and Dehradun as well. Yes, they can be selected from any area. This would be our first offsite experiment. Yes, I think you should try this experiment. I'm sure you'll like it, you'll love it, you'll love this experiment and experience with us. We'll try to help you in every possible way. Don't worry about that.
Ria, why don't you talk about your experience actually? I think you were saying that you're working with a client in, was it Nevada?
Yeah, so how we work here in VBS, what we do is we give a dedicated resource. We provide a dedicated resource to our clients, and then what happens is that resource is dedicated to that client, and he can give any work what he wants. We do modeling part, we do shop drawings, we do the 3D renders. So it's like a complete package.
Mm.
So whatever the client needs, we can do that. So
No,
we
but
can through
you personally, you've been working with one client in Nevada, and I think then you've actually have been able to grow that team, haven't
yes,
you?
yes. So we started with the one resource, but now we are 8 resources. So yes, we have grown from there to from one resource to 8, 9 resources. It has been a great journey with that client, and not only just one client. We see a lot of our clients increasing the resources as they are gaining more trust in us. Okay, so I think we are done for today. We'll have to close, but we'll be answering your questions through emails. You'll get it today or day after today. Like you'll get it tomorrow, I guess. So let's close for now. Thank you so much, everyone. It has been a great webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.